Stop explaining stuff. Stop it. Stop explaining what you're up to. Okay? All right. That's the episode. See you later. I'm out of here. No. For this episode, we're actually going to explain a little bit of why you have to stop explaining. Why? Because this is a freaking talk show, and it doesn't make sense. Like, I can't just end it without giving some context and giving some examples and like really hammering it home. So we're gonna do that. This is a really interesting topic. It's one that is near and dear to me in particular, because chronic explaining is one of my personal things that I've had to overcome. Real talk. Explaining is something that I would do fairly often. I've always been pretty good with words. A lot of times my friends and stuff would pick me to be the person to speak for us as a group, you know what I'm saying? Whenever we were dealing with shit going on, an authority figure or something, or even in school, grad school, we'd have some sort of a verbal presentation. Like, I'd get picked to be the I don't know, the moderator or the anchor of the presentation, you know what I'm saying, very often. And I got good at that, and I'm good at that. It's a skill of mine. And as a child, you know what I'm saying, like dealing with getting in trouble and things with my mom, I learned to explain stuff. And even as an adult, and I was just like negotiating things. I've told you so much about my relationship with my mom and my brothers and things, but there'd be challenges and problems that I would play this Mr. Fixer kind of role. And I would I had a sense that I could conjure up the right words to help my mom understand my brothers better, conjure up the right words to help my brothers understand my mom better, you know what I'm saying? And that I could demonstrate stuff. I just, again, as a kid, really had a parentified kind of experience where one of the things I brought to the table was explaining stuff. But I've learned over the years that this is something to work on, that you don't have to explain, and that often you shouldn't explain, right? This ability to take a concept or an internal intuition or a goal or something that you have, that you're doing, you're passionate about, and be able to give language to it is a valuable skill. It's a skill that I have, and one that I've employed to my benefit for sure. But I've also, at several times in my life, having to explain and devoting that time to explaining your behavior or your choices, it's a concession. It's a concession for validation, real talk. It demonstrates to you yourself, your neurology. This is really important. A lot of this stuff, you have to realize like what it's doing to you. Explaining might satisfy people, might satisfy whoever you're explaining to, the authority figure who's asking for an explanation, your friends, or whoever wants to understand something better. It might satisfy them. But what are you doing? What are you telling yourself? And I realized that I was telling myself that I have to be prepared to explain. I can't just act autonomously and independently. Whatever I'm about to do or I'm doing needs to be validated. I need to be able to clarify it, and then hopefully they'll approve or something like this. It's like raising my hand to go to the bathroom or something like this. And you don't want to have to do that. You're undermining your intuition very subtly, like subconsciously, neurologically. You are teaching yourself to be ever ready to explain and to give language to something that oftentimes escapes language, what you want to do, your intuitive sense and your feelings and your desires. I think there's a lot of value in being able to, like convert a feeling into language for the self again, to be able to look in a mirror, to be able to be home at night alone, to talk to yourself and to know why you're doing the things you're doing, and to, be able to convey that to yourself and to feel at peace with it. You know what I mean? That it's not just something irrational, let's say, but this ability or this intention, this tendency to try to be ready to explain to someone else is really something that needs to be challenged. It's really something that you should watch out for. you never want to prioritize this kind of external authority. Um, you want to take some advice from people. You want to be very careful and pick the people that you value, who will see you, who know you, and who share your values. And maybe you get some advice and you want to like be able to explain those things. But if you have a reflexive kind of like explaining kind of energy, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Real talk. I remember when I left CNN, um, after being there for 5 years and rising up the ranks and doing pretty well. And I realized I could not work for this company any longer, or the corporate industry, the news media industry. I saw so many things. I said, this is not for me. And one of the things I was doing in my last year was I was kind of like testing. I would talk to different people that I worked with, and I would kind of want to hear how they felt about what I was seeing. And as the time was nearing, I would ask like directly, like, "Yo, what do you think about? I'm gonna leave. I think I'm gonna leave CNN and do my own thing and carry my own voice. You know what I'm saying? Um, and the funny thing is, I'm asking people who are 20-year veterans at the company. You know what I'm saying? 20-year veterans, or people who had moved from Fox News to CNN, or to, they just kind of rotated through this thing. So like I'm asking people who instantly, from their own perspective, they can't understand my internal workings. They can't understand why I was interested in leaving, even as they understood and agreed with every single one of my points about the bias and about the weird points of control at CNN, and some of the very poor coverage on certain very important topics. They understood all that, but couldn't get to that conclusion with me, because they're different people. They're different people, and it's the same thing with so many other choices that I've had to make in my life, career choices, social choices, the ways that I use my voice, my ability to talk openly about genocide, my ability to talk openly to Black men about masculinity and about feminism, and to challenge, the queer phobic stuff, and um, the media in general, right wing, and to challenge our language on right wing and left wing. These are things that I've done that um, none of it could be validated. You know what I'm saying? None of it could, to do music, to convey these same concerns and issues, but to do it through a musical performance. You know what I'm saying? And to drop the albums I've dropped. This had to be affirmed and self-affirmed. And if I really had, I'm glad I didn't. Waste time trying to explain something to people, to get some sort of confirmation before moving. That's a bad move. That's a bad move. It's a bad move because because you are you, and no one can validate you. And the attempt to be validated in this way is a sign. It's a symbol back to you. It's an opportunity for you to notice, what are the things you want to explain. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things you do that you don't explain. You know what I mean? Like, it's so simple and obvious for you. You don't explain it. You don't feel the need to explain it. If somebody asked you to explain it, you would look at them crazy and you could carry on and do your business, right? There are things you do, like eating every day and your bodily functions and all kinds of things and choices you might make, that are that is your choice to make, and you know that, and you carry yourself with that knowledge. And so when you realize that the difference between those things and the other things that you might feel compelled to explain, or like, that's you. It's an indication of, this is a place that feels that you're not fully 10 toes in. And you can shore that up. You can actually notice that about yourself and say, oh, that's not necessary. then you can really refine it for like what are the things where what would be necessary for you to explain. You know what I'm saying? Like so much of our episodes have been about reclaiming our identities, reclaiming our identities and our our authority and our sovereignty and our ability to define ourselves in our own best interests and um, being authentic. And so this is a big part of that. This is a big part of that. Yeah, yeah. If you have this impulse to explain, consider doing it differently. Consider freeing yourself from that. Consider being able to like incorporate a few no's and a few like a really grounded, intuitive place where you're like, this is me and it is what it is. And I think it's a powerful place to be. That's the message, yo. I'm gonna wrap it up on that. Check out the rest of my YouTube page. Check out billybutton.com. And I see the God in you. Just stop explaining shit, yo. Do your thing. Do you. See you tomorrow.